Hi, and welcome to the Pole Shift News, guys. I don't want to say I told you so, but I did tell you, didn't I? 3 weeks ago, I said the Canadian pole was deteriorating, and we was going to put it out there as to whether, when the government did come back and make their announcements, as to whether they was going to tell the general public what was going on or not regarding the Canadian pole. Well, you don't need to be an expert to work out what's going on right now over the Northern Hemisphere. You can see for yourself the major intensity is strengthening over the Siberian pole. And right now, that intensity is going right over Russia and north border of China right now. But more importantly, guys, I showed you what was taking place over the Canadian border, with regards to that pole. And as you can see, there is a very little intensity. It has shifted and did so in a matter of about 7 years, 5 years, guys. Things are picking up. And, I'm just going to say, guys, this is the second time now I've came out before these organisations have came out and made an announcement. I came out 4 months ago, over 4 months ago, and said, guys, we're picking up some unusual activity with the Trimag sensor, and it's indicating that there's some activity going on regarding the poles and the position. And then, recently, last 3 weeks, I said, look, this is going to be something that they might come out and tell us. Well, you know what? They have released the magnetic intensity map, as you can see, and we can see that it is strengthening over the Siberian plate and weakening over the Canadian plate. My big concern here, guys, is that we might have already entered the weak field lines, and we could see an exponential pickup in the speed of the pole migration from this point out. Judging on what we've seen over the last 7 years, there has been a massive uptick, and all I can say is when that Canadian pole fizzles out, the magnetic attraction that is pulling our compasses and our sensors towards the centre of these two poles is going to shift rapidly over to Siberia, and I think by then we are already in the weak field lines. Now, some of you remember the experiment I done with the compass and the magnet. As you turn the magnet over on its poles, you see that when it gets to about 40 degrees, we start to see that wobble. Well, we are around about 300 miles from that 40 degree marker. And guys, what I'm saying now is we've probably got less than 7 years before this pole does a reversal on this planet. I'm calling it today out so that you guys are aware of what I'm saying here. I've made 2 announcements recently that I've been lucky. Some people would say, well, if that's the case, then if you call luck based on facts, based on the data, based on the Trimag system, luck, then that's fine. But I'm going to say this: we're there. I think we're there right now, and we're about to see some major changes on our planet. If that intensity is dropping off at that rate over Canada, we're about to see the poles do something absolutely extraordinary. And I think what the governments are doing is just putting it out there as a feeder, as a seed, that we can no longer rely on magnetic bearings for a source of navigation. That is just the least of our concerns. We're not really interested in navigation. Most of us know on a daily basis where we go and to and from. But the problem is, the big implication is when we get into these weak field lines and the speed of the magnetic pole intensifies, the magnetosphere starts to weaken. That's the big issue, because when the magnetosphere weakens to around about 90%, we have a massive influx of cosmic radiation. On the back of a grand solar minimum, we are probably going to call rapid over the next 5 years. So I don't think there's much more to say here, guys. We have achieved a milestone on a nano budget. It is a tiny, tiny budget, but with that budget, with the support that we've been able to get from you guys, we've been able to predict and make predictions before these organisations that have millions of pounds at their disposal. And that was the whole point of setting up this little observatory, because I realised a long time ago, I've been doing this nearly a decade, guys, I realised a long time ago that this was going to be a big issue for everyone on this planet and every biodiversity. This was a rare anomaly that was coming about in our time, and I knew that I needed to put out the awareness of it, because I've said it time and time again, if you're going to build planets, it's your business to build planets, then the first thing you're going to install on a planet is a magnetosphere, and as a result of that, you're going to have magnetic poles. And if the poles start to weaken in that planet that you've built and set up with a magnetosphere, then you know that at that point, when they reverse, the magnetosphere is going to start to collapse, and that is going to threaten the biodiversity. It is going to affect everybody on so many different levels, because it is a major contributor in planetary mechanics. And we're not just talking about some of these later facts that have come out regarding heart related issues caused as a direct result of a low magnetosphere and more cosmic radiation. We're not just talking about those health effects that people are going to suffer with. We're going to talk about the crop losses, agricultural production lines going offline because of the sporadic changes in the weather, climate, and the seasons in which we rely on to grow these crops. Everything is going to change, and this could in itself bring about the collapse of this modern technology and civilization that we've got, as it has done time and time again. If you go back into the records of all the empires that have come and collapsed, it's always on the back of a climate catastrophe, and it's related to food. And it doesn't matter how much money you've got in your pocket at that point in time, a wheelbarrow full of money won't buy a loaf of bread. So that's the reason why I put an alert out on this video, and a breaking news alert at that, because I want to get your attention. What we're doing here in the maverickstar Observatory is absolutely spot on. We're calling it before the big organisations on our micro budget, and all I can say is, guys, continue supporting us. We're about $800 now on the Patreon account, which is a tiny, tiny fraction of money to produce the results that we're doing. Yet we are doing that, guys, and you know it. It's not luck that I've come out twice now and told you before these organisations what is actually taking place with the magnetic poles on this planet. It's because we invested time, and we invested a little bit of money, which has enabled us to make these predictions ahead of these organisations. So continue supporting us on Patreon and PayPal, and guys, the link's down there. And this weekend we're going to be programming the first of the magnetometers that we're going to be sending out later on the end of this month. I'm just waiting for parts to come, but I'm going to do a couple of build videos, one this weekend, the programming, the testing. I'll show you how everything works, and what we intend to do with these is stick them in the path of that intensifying region over Russia right now, and we're going to put them also in the detensifying region over Canada, and we're going to monitor how fast that region now absorbs that magnetic intensity over Canada. And guys, someone said it in one of the comment sections, if you snap a magnet in half and try and put them back together, it just doesn't happen. Well, our magnetic North Pole right now is split into two, and they will not go back together. You know, that pole over Russia right now is on its way to meet its counterpart, because that's the nature in which this magnetic anomalies work. So I'll say what I usually do, guys. The link's there. Support us, you know, because we're coming out now well in advance of all these other organisations. You know, we've proved ourselves to you guys that we can deliver accurate information before the big guys on small budgets. So the links are down there, guys. Support us, and we'll continue doing this, and you can see how we do it. You know, this weekend I've set aside a whole day to calibrate the first magnetometer, and then we're just waiting until the 16th of this month, where we're going to get all the parts hopefully in to build the other 8. I know I've told you guys already I'm building 10, but we should be having the parts at least for 8 of those come around about the 16th of this month. And not only that, we're going to pull the SD cards out the magnetosphere sensor and the Trimag, and we're going to see whether there's more activity. So stay with us, guys, keep supporting us, because we're now I think in competition with these guys that have, you know, millions of pounds at their disposal, and still we get there before they do with the announcements of what is going on our planet. So with that, I'll say what I usually do, guys. Have a great weekend, and as always, bye for now.